so awesome to be here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're with us on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, as well as MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT. You're also with us on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT and on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage where the MixLR feed is embedded. So appreciate you being here. Appreciate you hanging out where sports meets that thing called life every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I hope you're having yourself a fantastic morning as we are here with PJ, Papa Joe, hanging out with us in the studios, or pardon me, on the airwaves, I should say, as we are together for his weekly post every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Today we're going to continue the conversation on Major League Baseball. We'll, of course, get into what went on with the Major League Baseball trade deadline. We'll hear what Papa Joe has to say, if anything shocked him, or if there's something that he thought should have happened that didn't happen, or for the things that did happen, what he thought was good, maybe not that great. So we'll talk about Major League Baseball and the trade deadline. We'll get into that. Jacob deGrom is back on the mound, so we'll discuss deGrom returning to the New York Mets for the first time in a long time, that he's back there doing his thing on the Majors mound, and so we'll discuss that with Papa Joe. And like I said, we'll get into Saratoga Springs horse racing once again, and a big-time shout-out to Jim Delia Sr., who I sat down with and broke some bread with last night, so big shout-out to Jim Delia Sr. Appreciate talking with him as always, and very excited about the fact that he's heading to Saratoga today. Well, we're going to be talking about Saratoga, so we'll have a good time with that this morning, and we'll get into some other pieces as well, as PJ and I will talk about my return down to Florida to continue the conversation from Hooters I Drive in Orlando. So we'll discuss that as we announced that news yesterday. And as always, we appreciate you being here inside of the Cafe Kubal studio. So much love for everybody that has joined us on the broadcast. We appreciate you. We thank you. And we're always having fun here on Wake Up Call, where sports meets that thing called life. And you make sure once the shows go live, you can jump into the archive and you can grab them as well on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, as well as on iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube. So many different ways to connect with the show. We always appreciate you being a part of the broadcast where sports meets that thing called life. So many thanks and much appreciation to all of you out there for being with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And as always, can't thank you enough for being a part of the show and for connecting with us on social media as well by finding us on our social media, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. So however you've connected with us, thank you so much. And in hour number 2, we're going to be joined by the rest of the ACC. As you know, this is ACC Preview Week, and so we have been joined by 8 teams so far. We'll have the rest of the teams join us this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we have the opportunity to continue ACC Preview Week, starting in this order from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. this morning. We will have first the UNC Tar Heels, Mac Brown, and student athletes. Then we will go to the Louisville Cardinals with Scott Satterfield and the Cardinals student athletes. Then we'll move on to Georgia Tech with Jeff Collins and student athletes. And then we'll jump into the final 3 schools that we have for ACC Preview Week, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons with Dave Clausen and company. Then we'll move on to Clemson, and you'll hear my Q&A with Dabo Sweeney and the Clemson Tigers, including one of Papa Joe's favorite names in college football, DJ Uyunglele. And then we'll get into Pittsburgh as I have the opportunity to speak with Pat Narduzzi and the Pitt Panthers. Deslin Alexander will rejoin the show. And, of course, the man who hails from the same hometown as me, Syracuse, New York, and the same high school as me, Christian Brothers Academy, one of the best linebackers in the ACC and pushing to be one of the best in the nation, my guy Servassier Dennis will be joining the show as well. So very excited for all the great stuff that's going to be coming up with all of the ACC teams, but not before we have PJ on the broadcast. So, Papa Joe, how are we doing today?
Good morning, Daniel. Everything's fine. Feeling good. My PP's going really good, so I'm doing a few more tasks around here that Mary will let me do. Driving myself now, so I feel good.
Yeah, and you talk about that, right? Driving yourself, getting back out there, doing your thing. And, I mean, how have you felt? How's everything been? You know, I think it's important to tell people things don't happen overnight. You had multiple surgeries this year, and you have to go through the PT. You have to do the work. You have to do your exercises at home. So what can you say about personal responsibility having a direct connection to your health?
Well, you have to take control of your life. I mean, I realized 6 months ago that I was going to be 76, and I had too many issues that weren't going to translate into a decent life for me in my later years. So, we made the decision. I had back-to-back surgeries, one on the hip and one on the right knee, and it was the right thing to do. But I've gone through 3 months of rehab. I could still use some more, but I need to stop it quick because Mary and I will be going to Milwaukee for a while. But the people I'm working with are exceptional. They're caring. They're very deep in their subject. So I'm very happy. I mean, I've gone as far as I can go without pushing myself too much. And if, my son will tell you this. I push myself on everything. So that's why I did the rehab so strenuously. I mean, I was busting my ass twice a week for 12 weeks. 12 weeks. So, if you have some problems, it's not too old. You're never too old enough to take care of some problems if you have the spin test before to do that. And if you want to take control of your life and have a better life in your later years, you may want to check to do some things before you get it. That's my age. I could have had these things done, 15 years ago, but I waited, procrastinated, and I said, hell with it. So we just jumped right in with 2 feet, and we got it done. All I got left is start.
Well, and that's the thing, like you said, quality of life, taking care of yourself, but, are you responsible? And, I think in the world we live in today, people kind of just want things to happen, right? They don't feel good. They want to feel better immediately. They want to take a pill, or they want to do nothing. It's like, there's some people that, are worried about different things that could happen to them, and they keep putting themselves in a bad situation. I had somebody tell me, oh, my brother's worried about ending up like my grandfather, and I was like, okay, well, what's the fear? What's the worry? And it's like, well, he's worried about his heart, and it's like, okay, so what's he doing to get better? Well, he's drinking and he's smoking and, just constantly nervous that something bad's going to happen to him. And I said, well, if he's drinking and he's smoking, then he's putting himself in a situation where, it's almost like he wants to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I don't want anything bad to happen to me, so I'm going to do everything I possibly can to have something bad happen to me. And I feel like we have to do that. We have to do the work, not do what I just said, but do what you said, put that work in, help yourself, and care about, what goes on in your life. I feel like so many times the conversation is, how can I do as little as possible and get as much as possible? And if you want something in your life that has any meaning, you got to put the work in. You got to go through the blood, sweat, and tears. And you got to go through those days where maybe you don't see a lot of improvement, knowing that eventually things are going to get better.
Yep, you said it very well.
So
you got to take control of your own life, and you have to do it. I mean, I wanted to do it, and of course, Mary took the brunt of all my frustrations trying to get myself moving. But she's a good woman and a good wife, so I was very thankful that I had her in the new call at least to lean on.
Yeah, that coming here from Papa Joe this morning as we get set to talk about baseball and horse racing, continuing those conversations. Always having a great time with PJ on the broadcast. So, Papa Joe, let's jump right into it as we have Jim Delia Sr., who obviously is connected to one of the best companies that I have the opportunity to work with, and that being Pizza Man, where I went out last night and grabbed some dinner, got some antipasto, got my favorite wings, a little bit of pizza, a lot of good stuff. Had a nice smorgasbord of Italian specialties. And so big thanks to Pizza Man, as always, for, everything that they do and for the conversation more than anything. So got to see Jimmy, got to see Jim Sr., and Jim Sr. is heading out with the family this morning to Saratoga. I told him to listen in. We give him a little shout out, some love here. So a big time shout out to him. What are your thoughts on how Saratoga's been going, and what do you want to say to Jim as he heads out to Saratoga to go see the races himself?
Well, Jim, I hope you get a good seat. Usually when it's this crowded in the winter or the summertime, people stand at the gate with their coolers and their chairs, and they try to hustle into the grounds there and see if they can find the best spot. And it's a lot of fun to do that, but you can't bust your butt. But have fun, watch your money.
So go ahead. I mean, how do you feel about how things have been going out there? I know that we talked a few weeks ago when Saratoga officially reopened and they opened to full capacity, and obviously it's been some trying times with what they've had to deal with through COVID, like many businesses. So, I mean, what's been your thoughts so far as here we are and we're in the full swing of things with horse racing. We're out there. It's happening. You were texting me during the week here that there were some big races going on. So what are your thoughts so far?
They have a stakes race just about every day. The stakes race, of course, is an added person value to, and it has restrictions on it, like the 3-year-old fillies, the 4-year-old fillies, or something like that. And every day they have something. But this Saturday is going to be a little bit different because they're going to have some really major ones, and I'm getting ready to pull up. We have the Glen Falls Stakes, which is a grade 2. It's a mile and a half on the turf. It's going to be really, 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 really good race. One of Chad Brown's horses, Virginia Joy, is going to be probably the favorite there. And if you follow me with racing, you know that I'm a big Chad Brown fan, Pat Fletcher fan, guys like that. Although the favorite in that race is going to be Warlike Dodger, which is the Bill Mott filly. She's going to be probably even money or more. So the horses that I talk about, you can easily find out their previous races by just clicking onto the NYRA site, and if you can get on, then all of this information is there for you. But let me see. Let me get to my other screen here. We got the Longines State, which is a grade 1. They grade stakes in the way of the importance, and grade 1 is always the best. And in these particular race, there's first of Matera is coming from Kentucky, trained by Brad Tatsis, who's one of my favorite trainers also. And it looks like he's going to be favored in that 7 furlong dash on the dirt. The more I follow racing and the more that I get involved in it, the more I like to see more turf racing than I do dirt racing. Turf racing is a whole different dimension. How you train your horses, how you feed them, how you condition them, it's entirely different than on the dirt. Mostly the dirt comprises maybe 6 or 7 furlong sprints. 6 furlongs is 3/4 of a mile, so it's a sprint. Sometimes they'll have a mile and a half, a mile and an eighth, a mile and 16, something like that. So not as exciting as a turf race. And I've gravitated to the turf trainers over the years, and this is why I gravitate to Chad Brown. If he could have a racetrack with all turf races on, he'd be very happy. So he's the best trainer in the country right now. Followed closely by Fletcher and C.S. and guys like that. Like Belmont. The big race this weekend is the Whitney Stakes, which is a grade 1, mile and 1/8 on the dirt. And that's going to be comprised of some excellent horses. Actually, Fletcher has a couple of horses in this race. Life is Good. His 4-year-old colt that is put in a really super season. He was good as a 3-year-old and he's better as a 4-year-old. So I look for him to be competitive in that race. I like Olympiad in that race, the Belmont trained 4-year-old colt. He's also hasn't been campaigning at the our tracks, but other tracks. And when you have purses this large and people want to come in and race for them, they come in from all over the country, some places in the world. You have a mile and a half turf race specifically, and it piques the interest of the European trainers, you're going to see some British trainers over here with some British horses. And sometimes that screws up the handicap because you don't know how to bet them. But I prefer not to see them, but I like to see them race, especially if they're that good. There's another Grade 1 race this weekend. It's called the Caesar Saratoga Derby International Stakes, a Grade 1 mile and 3/16 on the turf. And, of course, my man's probably going to have a horse in there, and I'm looking for him right now. He doesn't have a horse in that yet. The horse is Todd Fletcher's got a horse in that race. Annapolis, a 3-year-old colt out of Warfront, which is a really, really good player. And Ken McPeak's got a horse named Classic Dogway, a nice 3-year-old colt by Johnny Stelter. And these horses will be competitive in this race. And when you're dealing with a day like Saturday, this coming Saturday for Saratoga, there are things you got to be careful about if you go there. You got to be able to find a seat, first of all. They don't open up the infield. You don't want to go to the clubhouse because that's not very much fun. If you go in the stands, you got to hustle for seats really good. It's a program on a seat to let someone know that it's taken. And you got to get there early. You got to be comfortable. But it's a long day, a really, really long day. And of course, if you're a gambler and you're not going to do this just to watch horses run around for 6 hours, then you got to be sure you're close to the fair mutual window so you can bet. With all these things, if you're a neophyte or an amateur going to Saratoga, all these things are listed on their program. What to do, where to go, how to do what, and how to do this, and where the bathrooms are, and so on and so on. Where the concession stands are. So it's a huge place. But if you get there early enough, you can get some good seats, and you'll be able to do your handicapping on your own, of course. You want to get the daily racing form, and see if you can win some money, and watch some beautiful horses. I love it. I wish I was up there, Daniel. I'd be there. When I was working in New York, I went there every year. I never missed it. I never missed a time. Of course, I could only go 1 or 2 days a year when I was up there, but that way I had to take leave of my absence. I had to take leave of the track I was at.
Yeah.
To go over it, and I didn't take too much time away from the track. So if I could scoot over to a day or two every once in a while with the family, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's a really a cool experience. I think the thing for me, I remember vividly going up an escalator with my mom and my dad and Grandma and Grandpa Cavino, and enjoying the horse. Going to see something, and I think it was one of the only times I had seen something live. Because we went to off-track betting a lot. We went to OTB a lot. And my grandfather and my grandmother loved to play the horses and loved doing that. So, it's something that's been in the family. It's something that, we get excited about. And it's something that, once again, here in our community of Central and Upstate New York, there's so much to enjoy up here that people don't give credit to. And one of those things is going out to the horse races and, having some fun in the summer and just relaxing, like you said, maybe putting some money out there, but watching your money. But, relaxing, having a good time, watching, and just, enjoying something that's different. So, I definitely feel like, up here in Central and Upstate New York, there's a lot of great things to offer. And one of those things is the fact that people can go right out to Saratoga.
That's true. And, when you go to a venue like this, you got to understand there's a lot of dead time, is what we call it, between the races. The races take 2 minutes. There's all they do this, they do that for the races before the races, and then after the races there's some interviews and stuff. But for the most part, there's about 20 to 25 minutes dead time between each races. And a lot of people don't like that. They think it's boring. Well, it's boring if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what you're looking for. There's plenty of things to do to gain knowledge about what you're doing. One of them is to go look at on the outline of the paddock and watch the horses being saddled, watch the trainers talk to the owners and so on, and watch the owners talk to the jockeys, and so on. So you look at that and you look for things. You look and see if a horse is a little uppity or a horse is down, or the horse's ears are up, or the horse is kicking, things like that. There's all sorts of things to look at that will allow you a chance to maybe bet on a horse. I like to watch the good trainers because I want to see the better horses, and they have the better horses. And when you have a bunch of good horses in one race, it's very difficult to pull a favorite or two out of it because they all look so good, and there are trainers that have incredible records. So, you know, you got to do a little homework. You can do it before you go there. And looking at the paddock like that, you can watch the horses go around the ring, then you can watch them go through the little pathway there out to the track, and then they're introduced to the other fans out on the track that you've already got a good idea that you've been watching them at the paddock. So you've got an edge. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, there is a lot of dead time, but you can keep yourself amused and by just simply trying to handicap the races. That's all.
Yeah, you know, like you said, to make sure you're paying attention and doing some extra things in that downtime to see what it's all about. So I love that. I think it's awesome, and definitely, you know, looking forward to what's to come up here at Saratoga. We got more coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break here with Papa Joe. When we come back, it's all things baseball, and we'll talk about my return down to the Sunshine State for the college and pro football preview week that we're responsible for doing at Hooters I Drive in Orlando. So all that's coming up here where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora right after this from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate it very much so.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life, and we're here with PJ Papa Joe joining the broadcast as he does every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and we've spoken about the horse racing side of things, and now it's time to jump from Saratoga to the field of the world of baseball. Always happy to jump into baseball with Papa Joe. A lot of things that are going on. PJ, I said that at the time that we would be on the show, when we were talking last week, I said a week from now, when we get on the show, the trade deadline will be over. So what are your thoughts on Major League Baseball? And I'll kind of just open it up to you. what trades interest you? What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to go with it? Because there were many trades and moves for the MLB, something that I like, right? The NBA has been quiet. The NFL has been quiet over these last couple of seasons. You know, there's not a ton going on here and there. But Major League Baseball was wheeling and dealing, and some of these teams that have put out a good record so far this season are trying to make it deep into the playoffs and hopefully into the World Series. So what are your thoughts on some moves that were made here that happened before the trade deadline?
Well, I think the most important team that made headway here was San Diego, and I'll get into that a little bit later. What I'd like to do is just go over the trades.
Yeah.
Some of them are important, some of them are not. So I'll try to expound on the ones that are interesting and just cite the ones that have already been done. Baltimore gets outfielder Phillips from the Rays, the cash. That's a loser right there. My Brewers get reliever Trevor Rosenthal from the Giants. Now, if you know me and my Milwaukee boys, you know that I'm really pissed about what they did with Josh Hader. But I'll get to that later. This is important because Milwaukee had to add another good, strong relief pitcher because they gave away the best one. I'll get to that later again. Let me be redundant here. The Braves added to their bullpen. They get closer to Rafael Iglesias from the Angels. The Braves are still in a hunt behind the Mets for their division championship. So this is an important move for them. Toronto's still in the race too, even though they're way behind the Yankees. They're still there for a wild card. They get Whit Merrifield from the Blue Jays. Get Whit Merrifield from the Royals to the Blue Jays. It's going to be real important for Toronto. Yankees are trading pitcher Jordan Montgomery to the Cardinals for outfielder Harrison Bader. Now, I follow Harrison Bader because he's a Gator. He played at the University of Florida. He was an extremely good ball player. Fast, center field, run anything down, hits well, steals bases. Yankees got a steal in this one right here. This kid's going to play for them probably for the end of the year, right straight through. I'll write that later too. But this kid's going to make a big difference for the Yankees. Really good player. Harrison Bader. The Phillies. They boasted their rotation for the deal with Noah Syndergaard from the Angels. Now, if you remember, Syndergaard used to be with the Mets. He had some farm problems for a while, did well, got traded, signed a free agent contract with the Angels. He thumped it up over there. So this is really a steal for the Phillies. If this kid can go back to where he was, like he was pitching with the Groom, this kid's going to be a real winner for them. Minnesota's still in the running for their division championship, and they get left-hand pitcher Michael Fulmer from the Tigers. This is going to stabilize their pitching rotation. And the Dodgers and the Mariners complete a trade. The Mariners announced they have acquired Jake Lamb from the Dodgers for a player to be named later for cash consideration. I hate that. You know, tell us who you're trading for. If you're going to have two players for one, tell us who they are. Player to be named later or cash consideration. That's BS. If your team wants to know these things, if you're following your team, they want to know the information. The Mets acquired outfielder Darren Rupp from the Giants in exchange for infielder J.D. Davis and 3 pitching prospects. Terrific. Great. That really tells us a lot. Who the hell are the 3 pitching prospects?
Yeah.
No idea. No idea. But the Mets get an outfielder the kid can play right away. There's a big blockbuster that I'm going to get into later, too, with San Diego. But they followed that up by acquiring Brandon Drury from the Reds. And all he did last night at his first time up for San Diego, it hit a grand slam on that side. So good for Brandon Drury. Twins add to the rotation with a trade for Tyler Mao. They're finalizing their deal acquire the right-hander from the Cincinnati Reds for multiple prospects. What the hell are multiple prospects? Give us a break here. This kid's a good pitcher. What prospects are you giving up to get this kid? Don't like it. The Phillies have acquired right-handed Dave Robertson from the Chicago Cubs and outfielder Brandon Marsh from the Los Angeles Angels. Brandon Marks is one of my favorite players for the Angels. You know, I follow the Angels because of Mike Trout.
Yeah.
And he's the kid that's been putting up the numbers for him. So the Angels, in their infinite wisdom, have got to trade away a really good young player to another team. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. The Dodgers, I got a deal from the Yankees for Joey Gallo. Now, the Dodgers are taking a spin here because Gallo has not been producing for the Yankees. He's been miserable. He's hitting below the Mendoza line. Always hit, multiple home runs and some, 20-something RBIs. But he's lost at the plate. He needs to be in an environment that's not quite as up as the Yankees. You play for the Yankees, you're under a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure to win. You got to produce. You got to produce when you're in the Yankees. Joey Gallo didn't do that, so the Dodgers are taking a chance on him. Here's the one we were talking about. The Padres have got Josh Bell and Juan Soto from Washington. They're getting players for them. I'm not going to get into that. But when you have a player like Juan Soto, who's 23 years old, who is a generational talent, as you've heard, you've hit him before. There are 4 or 5 of them in our baseball league. He is that. He's a generational talent. Won the home run derby. Really wonderful kid to watch. He's pretty animated when he talks and watches the play. This is a steal for San Diego. But better than that, they got a first baseman, Josh Bell, who was with Pittsburgh for a long time, came to Washington. Josh Bell is a dynamite player. San Diego lost their first baseman, Eric Hosmer. So who they bring in? They bring in an all-star, Josh Bell. He's got a good glove at first base. And he's a switch hitter. This is a super move for the Padres. Super move. Toronto and Miami are finalizing the deal to get shortstop Jordan Groshans and going to Miami. That doesn't mean anything to me. Minnesota Twins are finalizing a deal to acquire closer Jorge Lopez from the Baltimore Orioles. This guy's super. Going to make a big difference. Astros and the Braves, they swap veteran pitchers. The Braves have acquired Jake Odorizzi from the Houston Astros for relief pitcher Will Smith. Odorizzi used to pitch for the Cubs back, I think, when Joe Madden was here for the World Series. So he's got a lot of experience. Fallen hard times recently, but he's expendable. All right, here's the one I'm really pissed about.
Okay.
This is where the Brewers have to me, they've given up their pennant chances.
Okay.
They give up Josh Hader for 4 players. I'm not going to get into the players because not going to recognize the players unless you're a true baseball fan. Hader is a killer reliever, and you've heard me say it many weeks on this show. You don't want to be a left-hand hitter and face Josh Hader. He does from the left side with his hands and arms all over the place, and he's a pitch to hit. Really, really tough to hit. So the Brewers did a good job. They got Matt Bush to come in from Texas. So that's going to help a little bit. And I saw him pitch last night for a while. He's a big guy, goes hard. But there's nothing like a Josh Hader. And Josh Hader, I think, went over to San Diego last night, 2 nights ago, to win his first game today. Now, Hader doesn't usually win or lose games. He usually wins when his team is he's trying to protect the league. Or maybe the game is tied and he comes in and they get it wrong and he gets credit for the win. So, Josh Hader is going to make San Diego a really, really good team. And the Brewers, I think, didn't get the kind of trade that I'm looking for the 4 players that they got. I don't even know who they are, so I got to go back and look at it. But bringing in Matt Bush will help a little bit. St. Louis Cardinals are finalizing a deal to acquire left-handed Jose Quintana from the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is important because St. Louis is still in the running against Milwaukee in that division. Yeah. And if they can strengthen their pitching staff, this is a good way to do it. Tommy Pham, who's been around the league for many years, is going to the Boston Red Sox. I saw him play last night. One time he struck out. Well, he'll do all right with him. Christian Vasquez from the Boston Red Sox has been traded to Houston. Now, Houston is really sneaky in this trade deadline. They've made some good deals. This is one of them. Their catcher doesn't hit too well. So maybe Vasquez, who's a good hitter, maybe can platoon a little bit and maybe eventually get the job full time. Here's the one. Here's the hitter grade. And I don't want to be down on these players. I really don't know. Closer Taylor Rogers, left-handed pitching prospect Robert Gasser, outfielder Estuary Ruiz, and right-hander Dinelson Lamet to Milwaukee to the closer. I don't know those players. So, how am I, as a Milwaukee fan, born and bred in Milwaukee, how can you not get this at this deal? But, they said that Hader had a couple of rough starts here lately when Minnesota tested him up for 4 runs. His ERA is up a little higher than normal is, but he's still the best in the business. So I think San Diego wins the deal here. This is a deal that I predicted with my PT guy, who's from Baltimore. We talk baseball all the time when I was doing that PT. Baltimore gave up first baseman outfielder Trey Mancini, who is their best player, and goes to Houston. Now, this is a sneaky move on their part. They have a hell of an offense.
Yeah.
With Altuve and Bregman and all these guys. Now they have a really good player coming from Baltimore. It's going to fill some spaces. Trey Mancini is an excellent player. Baltimore, every year it goes nowhere. So what do you do? Yankees added a right-handed reliever, Scott Efros, from the Cubs in exchange for a minor leaguer. Big deal. Braves had an infielder, Ariel Adriazana, from the Nationals in exchange for outfielder Trey Harris. Don't know much about those guys. But what made this deal pique my interest was that infielder Robinson Cano is not going to be released. Now, if you follow baseball for years, you know that Robinson Cano came in with Seattle, the Yankees. He was an all-star for many years. He may even have a shot for the Hall of Fame. But he's floundered the last couple of years, going from team to team, just trying to catch on somewhere. And it looks like his baseball career is over. So rest in peace there, Robinson. Giants picked up a shortstop, Dixon Machado, and sent right-hander Reyno Espinal to Chicago Cubs. Rays had an outfield bat and David Peralta, and they get him from your Razorbacks. The Cardinals announced that they've acquired left-handed pitcher Jojo Romero in exchange for infielder Edmund Sosa. This is important, too, because the Cardinals are still in the race with Milwaukee. And frankly, when this is over with, the trade and everything shakes down, I think St. Louis gets the better of the deal. And I think that St. Louis is probably going to overtake Milwaukee. I hate to say that, but what can you say? This is another good trade right here. The Mariners landed all-star pitcher Luis Castillo from the Reds in exchange for minor leaguers. I don't know who the minor leaguers are, but this is important because the Mariners are still in a wild card race.
Yeah.
And Castillo pitched last night and won for them. Did a good job. Just another good pick right here. The Mets acquired Tyron Aquin from Cincinnati. He's a starter for them for years. The Mets are going to love having this guy around. He's a high-energy player, good outfield, can run anything down. We already talked about Andrew Benintendi from the Royals going to the Yankees. We already talked about Daniel Vogelbach. The Mets get him from the Pirates. That's about all I really want to talk about. When you hear me talk about all this, and you can read a lot of it on ESPN, San Diego, for what they do over there, for who they got, they got Fernando Tatis, they got Manny Machado, and now they're going to put these guys to it, and it's going to cost them a lot of money. So the Padres, I think, are heading for a showdown to the Dodgers for the National League pennant. I don't think they're not going to be able to overtake the Dodgers for the pennant, but I think that they'll play for the pennant because they're going to run through the playoff mess, and I think you're going to see Los Angeles Dodgers and San Diego Padres playing for the National League pennant. That's how important this trade is for San Diego. And you throw Hader in there, tough. It's going to be tough to beat.
Well, you know, and you mentioned it. I mean, the San Diego Padres, for the amount of money that they're spending, right, for what they have and what they've done up to this point, you know, you look at that roster, and that roster is stacked, you know, and it has to be. Because the Dodgers now, you know, Yankees getting up to 70 wins, Dodgers right there with them, right? And so now, you know, the San Diego Padres in that division of the NL West, they got to be able to, you know, keep up and to move forward. So, I mean, you know, when we look at this and we look at everything that they have here and what they have going on, I mean, the level of talent, the level of players on this team is huge. And you mentioned, you know, Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. and, you know, then you add in Juan Soto. Lots of money. And Juan Soto, keep in mind, turned down $440 million to stay a Washington National. And I said, well, you know, somebody said, why would you do that? I said, because you don't want to be on the team you're on. Right? I mean, PJ, you know, some of the ex-girlfriends that I had, they could offer me everything in the world and I'm still leaving. So, you know, I mean, I think that's kind of how it is, right? You can be in a relationship like Juan Soto had with the Nationals, and they could say, hey, we're going to put you in the penthouse, top floor, you know, pool top roof. You'll have everything that you want. And he said, yeah, but I don't want to be here. So, you know, I mean, the reality of it all is he wanted to go elsewhere. He chose to go elsewhere, and he believed that he could make money. And now, you know, we look at what Juan Soto could be for this team. Are the San Diego Padres for real, in your opinion? A lot of big money guys, a lot of big name guys. Are they in a place right now where they can actually compete?
Yeah, this is a big trade for San Diego, and it's going to really increase their payroll. That's all. I know Hader. I think Hader was making $16 million at Milwaukee. Soto, I think you're right. He turned down a big contract with Washington to be traded elsewhere. San Diego's got the money over there. You know, the West Coast teams, they do well because they have unbelievable cable contracts for their baseball games. And let's face it, I mean, they do get a lot of people come to the ballpark, but they're going to make their money on a cable TV, and that's what's happened here. And I think that Juan Soto is the kind of player that you want to have up there with the bases loaded, and have confidence that you can drive in some runs. Now, if you're the opposing player and you see come up, if he's got the first base is open, you let him walk. You know, this is an important trade for San Diego, and everything that they've done up to this point is marginal compared to what's happened. Tatis is still on the IR. I don't know if he's going to be playing this year or not, but when you put Tatis, Machado, and Juan Soto in there, and I got Drury in there who just hit a grand slam last night. I mean, their offensive lineup is going to be awesome. So it'll be fun to watch. And, of course, I have MLB, so I'll be able to watch the games when I can.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be exciting to see what the Padres can do and how they can step forward. And as we step forward here, PJ giving you a rundown of the MLB trades that happened before the deadline. We're going to expand this conversation with Vinny D'Oria as we get more specific on it tomorrow. So plenty coming up here as PJ has set the table, and we will dine in with Vinny D'Oria a little bit more into some of these things, what it means for the Mets, what it means for the Yankees, where they are right now, and really what it means for the Yankees trade deadline-wise, what it means for the Mets to have DeGrom back, and some other pieces, including if the Subway Series is a real viable thing this year to have in the World Series. So we'll take another step aside with Papa Joe when we come back today. In just a few moments here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, we will be talking about my return to Hooters down in Florida. Hooters I Drive in Orlando. So we'll be discussing that in just a few minutes with Papa Joe before we jump into hour number 2, which will be featuring the rest of our ACC preview week with 6 teams coming up today. So buckle up, Buttercup, because there's a lot of stuff coming up here on mixlr.com, facebook.com, and youtube.com, all /wakeupcalldt. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Well, welcome. Yeah. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Always good to be hanging out with you, talking with you, and being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. PJ is here with us, and we've been talking about a lot of different things here. We started with Saratoga, and then we jumped into the wily world of the MLB Trade Deadline. PJ told you what happened. You can go back and look up more information on that as you go for your favorite team. But PJ gave you, as he always does, a look around the entire nation, which I love. So a compact way of letting us know what's happened, what's going on. Always appreciate Papa Joe. He wants to jump into a couple more things here, and we want to do it together for you. So PJ, the standings for Major League Baseball, and then we'll have a quick note before we let you go. So where do you feel things are at right now as we're getting closer and closer to, believe it or not, we're in August right now, so we're getting close to playoff time.
Well, we can start with the American League in the Eastern Division. The Yankees have an 11-game lead over Toronto. Although the wild card race has Toronto up by 3 games over the rest of the teams that have a shot here, including Seattle. So I got to think that Toronto's in pretty good shape to make the postseason. They're dangerous because they hit the ball so well. Gee. Hold on a minute, Daniel.
Yeah, no worries.
The worst division in baseball is the Central Division of the American League. Minnesota's got a 1-game lead over Cleveland and 2 games over Chicago. This one's going to go down to the wire. And frankly, I like Chicago in this deal a little bit, even though they don't play as well as Minnesota. I think they got the savviness to do it. They got a Hall of Fame player and manager, Tony La Russa, who's guiding them, although he hasn't done that good of a job. But I think 2 games is not a lot for them to overcome, and I like them a lot. In the West, we got Houston Astros just killing everyone. Seattle's behind, but Seattle looks like they got a shot at qualifying for the postseason too as a wild card. Houston, and of course, Houston just added Trey Mancini, which is a huge bat. Houston doesn't back up. Dusty Baker is the manager. Dusty Baker's been around for years. He's a player for years, been a manager for years. I'm 76. I think he's older than I am. He's a you would think an old time manager who's a black guy too would have a tough time dealing with these punks these days that come in through the ranks. He doesn't. He treats everyone the same. Everyone loves him. I think he's the most underrated manager in baseball. Has been for years. And Houston should be glad they got him, that's for sure. Let's go to the National League. We got the Mets up by 3.5 games over the Braves. You heard me say the Braves made a couple of moves that will help them in the bullpen. Pitching is the name of the game in these days. They don't pitching in defense. The Mets, if they play 500 ball, we're still going to make it okay. And we got the Groom coming back. The Groom pitched the other night. I think he pitched 6 innings, about 5 hits and 2 runs, 1 earned run, something like that. Struck out 6. He didn't look dominating, but at least he's pitching that's going to give him a better shot up on the road. The Central Division is probably the second worst division in baseball besides the Central Division in the American League, and that's with my Brewers. My Brewers are only 10 games over 500. They're not playing well. They're not hitting well. And they lose their best reliever to a team that probably may have a chance to go to the World Series. Milwaukee has no chance to go into the World Series at all. I hate to say that, but they got to play tough just to win their division. St. Louis is right down their neck, and St. Louis is almost as bad as a bad record. St. Louis has got a shot at overtaking Milwaukee. So I hate to diss my boys and the Brewers and my boys in Milwaukee, but I got to tell it like I see it. National League West, we got the Dodgers are up 11.5 games over the Padres. Padres got a good chance to make it the postseason. You heard me talk about them. You heard about all the deals they made. And this is both teams. The last 10 games are 7-3. They're going to be neck and neck going to the end of the year. Of course, San Diego has no chance of overtaking the Dodgers for the pennant. But what they do have a chance to do is to beat the mediocre teams, except maybe the New York Mets, in the National League and play the Dodgers for the National League pennant to go to World Series. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, and we're gonna see what happens from here as things start to get closer and closer, and see how it all shakes out in Major League Baseball. PJ, I know you and I are going to be in two different places. However, we do have the opportunity to return, as far as Wake Up Call does, down to Hooters for college and pro football preview week. So I know that we won't be able to have you there, unfortunately, like we did before, but I'm definitely excited to come down to Florida. What are your thoughts about the fact that we'll be back opening up college and pro football from Hooters once again in I-Drive of Orlando?
You're going to have fun. I still want to drive over there. I may bring the meatball with me. Depends on our work schedule. But, we have our game in our game in Tampa. Hopefully, Trout's playing for Los Angeles when we get there. And then we go to Milwaukee, of course. I'm going to try to catch a Brewers game like I always do up there. But we're only going to be there for a week this time. And Mary's still a bit worried about my mobility. So we're kind of short of the week. I don't know if we'll be able to watch the Brewers physically, but they'll be on TV anyway. So I'm happy. And you'll have a lot of fun, too.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Very excited, and hope to see you soon and figure out a way to hopefully get to do that. But in the meantime, thank you for all that you bring to the table. As always, PJ, I know everybody loves hearing your expertise and having you out there. So I definitely want to thank you for today, and thank you for all you do on and off the air. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
Okay, bud. Hang in here now. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care. That coming from Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. We are going to jump right into now because we got to get to these pieces here. So we're going right into our ACC Preview Week, folks, and a continuation of the ACC Preview Week, I should say, as I'm very excited to do this with you and bring you the ACC and what's going on here as we continue to preview the entire league for the upcoming football season, all 14 schools here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So we're going to start things out here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora by sharing with you the first trio that we have here for today, and that's the UNC Tar Heels, the Louisville Cardinals, and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. So all that's coming up here this morning where sports meets that thing called life. You're going to have an opportunity to hear from each and every single one of these teams as I have continued to bring you coverage of the entire ACC for ACC Preview Week. So we're going to get it started off inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, with the UNC Tar Heels, and Mac Brown, the head coach, as well as the student athletes, are here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. My one-on-one conversations with them starts now as I speak with head coach Mac Brown on the 3-5-5 schedule that will come after this season.
Coach Dan Tortora, Wake Up Call, DT.com. We know that here at the ACC, we have one more season of divisions before we switch to that 3-5-5 model. What can you say about this final year in divisions and what you think about that 3-5-5?
I'm a guy that believed in the divisions. I love having Coach Clemson Athletics. I love having a championship game with the two winners. I thought it was that way a lot of the time in the North and the South and the Big 12 when I was there. So I was disappointed that we changed it, but it also gives our team and our coaches some opportunities to play people that they wouldn't play as often, and maybe a chance for the ACC to match up better teams.
So you hear it right there that, clear about it. Mac Brown said, I like divisions. He liked that side. And that's how, I was told it kind of went, is that the Atlantic Division coaches were more proponents for getting rid of divisions, and the Coastal Division in the ACC was more for keeping them. And if you look at how things have gone in recent history, it makes sense, right? The Coastal Division hasn't been as good as the Atlantic Division in record. And so it makes more sense to say if you're the Coastal, because right now, the way things have been going, you might not be in the ACC championship game. So you can understand why something like this happened here, where Mac Brown on the Coastal side was not a proponent for this. But, you play the games in front of you. You beat the teams you got to beat. You have an opportunity to play in the championship game no matter what. British Brooks, the running back for North Carolina, I had the opportunity to speak with him in this ACC preview week, and I spoke with him about the fact of repping North Carolina as well as repping Gastonia, where my good buddy, who's pushing for an opportunity in the XFL, Mo Neal, who played for Syracuse, another running back, also came from Gastonia. So we talk about North Carolina and repping Gastonia. This is what British Brooks had to say.
British Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com, hailing from Gastonia, which isn't that far away here. Just what it means to you to be in state and represent not only the Tar Heels, but to represent your hometown that's right around the corner.
It means a lot personally because I grew up a Tar Heel fan. A lot of people around me grew up Tar Heel fans, so when I go back home, it's rejoiceful. A lot of times you don't really see a lot of state group fans walk home. It's always been good on the whole time. So just to represent North Carolina is important.
So you look at the fact of being able to represent Gastonia. And listen, the running backs from Gastonia, Mo Neal, British Brooks. Mo Neal had 2,560 yards in his time at Syracuse in 4 seasons. And I don't think he was used right his entire time there. I think there were moments where he wasn't a traditional back, and I would have loved to see what those stats would be. I've argued that he's a 3,000, if not a 3,500-yard back at Syracuse. If used correctly, he averaged 5 yards a carry. He averaged getting to the first down marker halfway there. He averaged that his entire career at Syracuse. So big ups to him for that. And British Brooks, to take a look at his statistics and what he's done in North Carolina, well, he has been a part of a committee. He's been a part of being there with other guys, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, and whatnot, because he came in 2018. So this past season, he had 31 carries, 295 yards, 9.5 yards per carry. 9.5 yards per carry. Insane. 4 rushing touchdowns. So we'll see what he can bring to the table, and obviously getting himself involved on special teams as well, getting some tackles out there. So we'll see what British Brooks will do this season. Hailing from Gastonia, big shout out to Gastonia, North Carolina for Mo Neal and British Brooks. Next up here is Josh Downs, their wide receiver, and Josh and I had the opportunity to speak on the quarterback battle and what his take is on that. The quarterbacks and getting to know them, getting to know, what their talents are as they duke it out for an opportunity to, and I'm sorry when talking about North Carolina, I said duke it out. So, but that they have an opportunity to see who's going to win the starting job. And Josh Downs from Sewanee, Georgia, the wide receiver for North Carolina, well, he's going to have somebody throwing to him. So this is what he had to say about the quarterback group.
Josh, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You spoke on Sam Howell just now. What you can say about the quarterback battle right now and the relationships that you're building with both of them in preparation for the season and obviously with camp coming up?
These two guys, they've just been getting ready for the position for me and Chris. So I was sitting behind that 2 years ago, and nobody knew why I was. So it's a simple situation. I've known you folks since I came here together, so that's not all. And I know Drake for a while too. So seeing all those guys get better and being able to display the talent here is going to be something great to see. I'm not really worried about quarterback position, as a lot of people are, because I know we have the talent there, so it's going to be good to watch.
So you see that, not too worried about that, but he, obviously seeing these two gentlemen fight for the opportunity to get a starting job in North Carolina at the quarterback position. I mean, this is a huge thing for North Carolina. Last season, they were picked high and given a lot of respect, and it didn't turn out in the win-loss column. Now they have the opportunity where they're picked lower, and they have to figure things out. So, and Mac Brown was talking about that, the opportunity to be there right at the bottom of the barrel instead of at the top of the barrel. We'll see where it goes from here. Drake May and Jacoby Criswell are the ones that are fighting for the job in North Carolina. We'll see what happens here as Sam Howell has moved on to the Washington Commanders. So this will be something to watch. Again, yet another quarterback battle to pay attention to inside of the ACC. Next up here to switch to the defensive side, linebacker Cedric Gray and I had the opportunity to speak with one another. Cedric coming to us from Charlotte, North Carolina. So a little bit of a homecoming for him here as he plays for North Carolina as well, as he speaks on his journey.
Cedric Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You heard from Coach calling you one of the leaders on this team and just what you stepped up to do. Looking at your journey to Carolina, how much have you grown, and what can you say in response to the fact that your head coach believes in the leadership that you bring?
I definitely had an interest in the journey to Carolina. As Coach Mack said, University of North Carolina is my only Power 5 offer. So even in high school, I had a chip on my shoulder. So coming in, I knew that I just had to work. And one day an opportunity would present itself. I got the opportunity last year. I think I've always been a leader. I'm a very outspoken person, so I just kind of carry that over. As you can see, Coach believes in me, and so I'm ready to lead this team and lead the defense.
Appreciating that Coach Mack Brown said a lot of positive things about him. He said, I'm ready to lead this team and lead this defense, and we will see what North Carolina will do. Like I said, Mack Brown talking during ACC kickoff about the fact that this team was picked high last year, and he was like, look at what happened. So he wants to be picked low. He wanted to be picked last because, last in all of college football, right? Because, you have that chip on your shoulder, work your way up, and and it's different from having the hype side of things. So we'll see where everything ends out for North Carolina as they head into this season, and we continue on our ACC preview week. So many thanks to North Carolina for being a part of the show. We take a look at what happened last season. They finished 3-5 inside of the ACC and 6-7 overall under Mack Brown's second coming here. So we look at it and look back at the season last year in 2021 for North Carolina. They started the season off by losing to Virginia Tech on the road. Then they beat Georgia State and Virginia. They lost to Georgia Tech at a neutral location, 45-22. And Georgia Tech, as you know, has struggled a lot as of recent years, so that was a tough loss. Defeated Duke 38-7. Duke's been down for a while. Lost to Florida State, who is down but trying to get back up. Defeated Miami. That was a good one, 45-42. Lost to Notre Dame, but did get 34 on them, 44-34. Allowing a lot of points last season. Beat Wake Forest 58-55. Insane, and at the time, Wake Forest was 9th in the nation. Lost to Pittsburgh in the next game in overtime on the road. And then defeated Wofford by 20, lost to NC State at the last game of the regular season to go 6-6, 34-30, and then lost against South Carolina in the Battle of the Carolinas in their bowl game in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, 38-21. So maybe it's the fact that North Carolina played in a bowl that had Duke's name in it. Maybe that's what didn't work in their favor. But now Mack Brown's going to try and get better. Get this team to move forward here. They got to do it without Sam Howell, so we'll see what they're going to look like as they go forward. And looking at these last few seasons, 2019, Mack came in, went 7-6 with North Carolina, won the Military Bowl. 2020 went 8-4 and lost in the Orange Bowl, and then last year 6-7 Duke's Mayo Bowl. So he stayed in that 6-8 win region, 2 winning seasons. And then this one losing the bowl game, and he was 500 before that. So we'll see what Mack Brown does at this point. We know that he's had a lot of good seasons at North Carolina, but remember when he came to North Carolina in 1988 as the head coach, he went 1-10, 1-10, 6-4-1 back when you could tie, 7-4, 9-3, 10-3, 8-4, 7-5, 10-2, 10-1. So starting off 1-10, finishing 10-1 says a lot about how he flipped this program around, right? And after he started in that third season, which you hope things start to translate by year 3, you hear people talk about year 3 a lot, 6-4-1, 7-4, 9-3, 10-3, 8-4, 7-5, 10-2, 10-1. So after going 1-10 in those first 2 years in North Carolina, he didn't have a losing season after that. So we'll see what he does here in his second stint, as he does have a winning record overall currently in his time back in North Carolina. He has, at this point, he has 21 wins and 17 losses in his second time around with the North Carolina Tar Heels. And we'll continue the conversation as we move forward here in ACC Preview Week from North Carolina, we now move on to Louisville and my conversations, my Q&As with the Louisville Cardinals as we are here inside of the ACC Preview Week, the entire week previewing the ACC with you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Up first is head coach Scott Satterfield speaking with me about his thoughts on the 3-5-5 model as divisions will go away after the season in the ACC.
James Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach, we know that then we move to the 3-5-5 model. Just what you can say about what that model does, being able to play everybody twice.
Yeah, I think we got a little taste of that in 2020 when we went to basically one league. I think it's a good thing. I'm excited about that opportunity to be able to play all the teams in a period of time where you sign a student athlete, they're going to be able to see all the teams within the league. I think it's a good thing. I think obviously the tricky part is to figure out which 3 teams you play on a yearly basis. I think whatever how that came out, I think everybody is satisfied with that. I think it's obviously the pros and cons with that. But I think that's a good thing as well. So we're looking forward to it. Excited. I like the fact that we're going to be able to have a champion out of the 2 best teams you're going to play there at the end of the season. I think that's a good thing as well, as opposed to having 2 different sides and one side stronger than the other. I think so. I think that's going to be positive out of it, and I think just to be able to play everybody is probably the biggest benefit.
Getting to play everybody being the biggest benefit. And that's what I like in this new model that we're going to see in the ACC to be utilized at least 2023 through 2026. Once again, things ending in 2025-26, right? A lot of things going on. Notre Dame, when we're supposed to see the switch over for Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC, the college football playoff ending its current contract, the ACC ending the testing of its model. Again, folks, I don't believe in coincidences. Louisville, Georgia Tech, Miami, and Virginia are their rivals. They really don't have any true rival still in the ACC. So I guess you can try and push the Miami thing, but Virginia's not, Georgia Tech's not. Anybody that got Georgia Tech right now, they've been struggling. So, that's a good thing for the teams that got them. Wake Forest got Georgia Tech as a permanent. Louisville got Georgia Tech as a permanent. And Clemson got Georgia Tech as a permanent. Somehow they lucked out with getting that. Clemson got Florida State, Georgia Tech, and NC State. I like the Florida State thing because it used to be Clemson and Florida State vying for the top of the Atlantic Division, and then NC State's given them hell the last few seasons, but Georgia Tech, I don't really see that. So we'll see what happens from here. We continue with Satterfield on the current climate of collegiate athletics. There's been a lot of changes. He's been a part of different conferences, different teams. So he's seen different parts of the country, and I asked him his thoughts on the musical chairs that we have in college football right now.
Coach, you've been a part of different institutions as well as different conferences. Seeing the last 12 months of realignment, all this shift, and now, obviously the PAC as well as the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC all being affected in some way, shape, or form. How do you view the current climate of collegiate athletics?
Well, I think if you go back and look at throughout the whole, history of conferences and schools, there's been a lot of realignment. It seems to happen a lot. I was a part of it when I was at Appalachia State. We moved divisions and moved conferences, and I think that's been a part of it here at Louisville. We've been in several different conferences over the years, and I think each institution is always looking to better themselves and be in a good spot. And I think the ACC is a great conference. It's a great league. I grew up in the Raleigh-Durham area, right in the middle part of ACC country. As a little kid, going to football games and basketball games in ACC, and know what kind of impact it made on me. And being able to watch the TV games growing up. So it's a great conference, and so we want to make this conference one of the best conferences in the country. And I think we got great leadership at the top, and they're going to do the things and make decisions that will continue to benefit this conference. But as a coach, as a player, you don't really look at those things. I mean, we're focused on what we have to do on a daily basis to get better as a football team, and being a team that go out and win championships. And so that's kind of what our focus is. And I know that's been kind of a hot topic out there, is all the realignment. That's just because it's in the news now. But our focus is on being the best we can be here at Louisville.
So looking to make this conference, special, looking to make it the best conference out there right now is what Scott Satterfield is looking to do. And Scott Satterfield right now, this is going to be a make or break year, I think, honestly, at this point. Things kind of started off on the wrong foot after he came from Appalachian State, because in his first season with Louisville, it came out that he was talking to South Carolina about their job opening. Now, it's not that coaches don't do this all the time, but, it's that Scott Satterfield got caught. Somebody figured it out, put it out there. And so it's like, well, here's your coach that just came to you, just dedicated himself to this institution, to this team, and you see this, and it makes you feel like, oh, okay, so the coach we just got is not even bought in. So if he's not bought in, why should we get bought in? And, so I think that kind of made a bitter taste from the beginning to go with that, in the fact that I think people had that bitter taste from the start, which I can understand that feeling, right? You get a head coach and then you're like, oh, okay, they're already looking for another job. On top of that, he's not winning a ton of games. He went 8-5 in his first season and went to the Music City Bowl and won the Music City Bowl. Went 4-7 in 2020 in a shortened season. Went 6-7 last year, 6-6 in the regular season, then lost the First Responder Bowl, and went 6-7 overall. So his record at Louisville is 18 wins and 19 losses. This is year 4. And like I said, I think things already started off on the wrong foot in this relationship. So we'll see what happens for Scott Satterfield. First game of the season, Syracuse in the Dome. And God willing, I will be there to see it all unfold. And I wish the best and hope the best for Scott Satterfield in his career as he steps forward in the Louisville Cardinals. He's got a heck of a quarterback, and we'll see what else they got, including the fact that we'll start on the defensive side of the ball in my conversation with the Louisville Cardinals here in this ACC Preview Week. Yasir Abdullah, linebacker from Miramar, Florida, joins me first to talk about the overall defense.
Dan Tortora, we can call DT.com. Yasir, just what you can say about overall for the defense this season, where you're seeing the most improvements and what we can anticipate from the Cardinals coming up.
Overall, secondary is trying to lead there. We get together in the film room on the weekends. And actually, just as a whole, from the D line to the linebackers to the secondary, just coming together, working, watching film, just trying to get better on the little things.
So there you go with Yasir talking about the little things, getting ready, getting set, and seeing what Louisville can do. Like I said last season, 6-7. So looking to build higher than that. In my prediction here, I have Louisville just above Syracuse toward the bottom of the ACC, with no disrespect whatsoever. Somebody has to be 6-7. And, well, it's funny, somebody has to be spot 6 and spot 7, and this team last year went 6-7. But I think their quarterback is tremendous, and I think, Louisville's always been a threat to Syracuse. So as much as I think there's other teams that'll end the season above them in the Atlantic Division, we'll see what they can do, because they're a wild card, and that's why it's fitting that they're called the Cards themselves. So with that being said, we move on to offensive linemen here, and I had the opportunity to speak with offensive guard Caleb Chandler out of Jefferson, Georgia, about the many changes to the O-line coaches. He's had to deal with the fact of it being a business at a young age.
Dan Tortora, we can call DT.com. Caleb, just, having to have an offensive line that's obviously gone through transition of coaches in that position, just what you can say about navigating through that and what you've learned from that, because I feel like you learned early on that it is a business out there and changes do come and they do happen.
I can say I learned a lot. I really just try to look at it as more information and more technique and stuff. Like, yeah, I've had a few different coaches. I think I'm on 4 now. And I've learned so much from each coach. I just try to use everything or some things that those coaches teach me. So like with last summer, I used different things that they teach me that I felt like that helped me the most. So yeah, I've had a few coaches, but I've learned a lot from every single one of them.
I like that answer from Caleb Chandler. The fact that he said, yeah, I've had a few coaches, but I use things that each of them taught me. So instead of looking at it saying, yeah, I've had a bunch of different position coaches and it's frustrating and it's hard and I don't like it. Maybe he is frustrated at times. Maybe it is hard. Maybe he hasn't liked it. But he looks at the positive side. Hey, having a bunch of coaches means that I got to learn from a bunch of different people, a bunch of different ways to do things, and maybe different techniques and ways to attack what he does as an offensive guard. So I love spinning a negative into a positive and saying, yeah, I've had a bunch of different coaches, but that means I get to learn from a lot of people. I love that. Malik Cunningham is up next here. Malik Cunningham, quarterback out of Montgomery, Alabama. Malik's doing a fantastic job. Listen, we talk about Lamar Jackson. I don't think there's been enough fanfare around Malik Cunningham when you look at what he has done in his career with the Louisville Cardinals. And Malik Cunningham, no slouch by any stretch of the imagination. Taking a look at his seasons, in 2018, he only attempted 67 passes, but he ran the ball for almost 500 yards, 6.3 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns, 1 touchdown he had as well to go with that through the air, and 1 interception. In 2019, 62.6% completion percentage, up from 59.7%. Threw for over 2,000 yards, had 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 6 rushing touchdowns with 482 yards on the ground. Then we look at Malik Cunningham in 2020. Threw the ball 304 times and up from 179, 64.1% completion percentage. I always look at this when a quarterback throws more and ups their completion percentage. 2,617 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 7 rushing touchdowns, 609 yards on the ground, and almost 5 yards a carry. Last season, the man went bonkers. 209 completions, 337 attempts, 62% completion percentage. 2,000 went down a little bit. 2,941 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions through the air, 173 rushing attempts, 1,031 yards rushing, 6 yards a carry, and 20 touchdowns. This means he had 39 touchdowns last season and just shy of 4,000 yards running and throwing combined. So, we talk about Lamar Jackson. We should also be talking about Malik Cunningham. And when he wore the red suit, I swore that Lamar had done that before, so I looked it up. Lamar did wear the red suit during his Heisman Trophy winning night. So I spoke with Malik Cunningham about his relationship with Lamar and if he channeled Lamar in the wearing of this suit.
Dan Tortora, we can call DT.com. Malik, my question to you had to do with Lamar Jackson, but I gotta ask you this first. Did you channel Lamar's Heisman Trophy night with the red suit?
No, it was crazy. You're the first person to mention that, and I just thought about it. I really did channel it. 2 weeks ago, I just walked into the men's warehouse, and I seen the red suit, and I was like, yeah, I'm going down. I had to get some matching shoes, but the suit was easy to pick.
And you look at your career and obviously your ability and what Lamar can do as well. What did you take away from him in the time that you were around each other, and how would you describe your game moving forward?
I would say I took a lot from him, considering the type of person he was. More just off the field, how he helped his teammates run and make people run better. Just the type of guy he was, man, he always made everybody smile. So that's the biggest thing for me, just always put a smile on my teammates' face, the coaches' face, their families' faces, their kids, and the kids back home, and then my nieces and nephews and my brothers and my family. So that's the biggest thing for me, just making everybody happy and make people smile.
I love hearing that, right? Smile on my niece and my nephew's face, right? Just getting everybody excited, having a good time. Malik Cunningham, a tough out for anybody with his ability to run and throw the ball. Malik Cunningham, flashy with the red suit, flashy on the field. We'll see what it looks like in Game 1 of this season as Syracuse will host Louisville coming up here very, very soon, folks. It's not that far away. And as of this week, it is less than, and I'm going to repeat myself, less than a month away that Louisville and Syracuse will kick off the Dome life here in Central New York as, for the first time ever, the JMA Wireless Dome, instead of the Carrier Dome, JMA Wireless Dome will host a football game. September 3rd, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We will watch Syracuse take on Louisville for Youth Sports Day inside of the Dome. Mind you, folks, 4 of the first 5 of the first 6 games for Syracuse, including 4 straight, are going to be at home. So, nice schedule for Syracuse. After that, they got Notre Dame and Florida State in the Dome. So, it's going to be dicey after that. We're going to see how they do going up here right now. And appreciate Malik Cunningham for joining the broadcast. We are going to take a quick step aside for a fast break. We'll come back with more from ACC Preview Week. Still have a bunch more teams to get into, so very excited to do that with you here for ACC wall-to-wall coverage on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. You got to see North Carolina as well as Louisville. Coming up here momentarily, we will have the opportunity to share with you Georgia Tech right after this fast break where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, once again from inside of these amazing Cafe Kubal studios. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, where sports meets that thing called life. 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, as well as 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location in North Syracuse. Head out to Cafe Kubal today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. We're talking ACC in ACC Preview Week. I did my due diligence to get to every single team. I love doing it, love covering the entire country. I love covering the ACC, all 14 member institutions for football on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Very excited to bring these to you. So very much looking forward to continuing the conversation for ACC kickoff. Every head coach and student athlete representation from every single school of the ACC. We head next into Georgia Tech and Jeff Collins, who is no stranger to the broadcast. I had Jeff for his couple seasons at Temple, and I've had him ever since he went to Georgia Tech. So appreciate building the relationship with Jeff Collins, and this is what he had to say. Now, in the win-loss column, we haven't seen, right, those positives that you know, fans are hoping for, right? And so there's been a struggle here. And since Paul Johnson, when he left, things were not the greatest when we were looking at the record for Georgia Tech after he had some success. And now we have Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech after 2 seasons at Temple. He won the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl back in 2017 with Temple, went 7-6 overall, 8-4 the next season, then came to Georgia Tech, went 3-9, 3-7, and 3-9. So I spoke with Jeff Collins and said, okay, what are the things heading into year 4 that are the positives that you see that don't show up in the win-loss column? What are those things that are improving that maybe we don't see from simply looking at the record? This is what he had to say.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. How are you? Great. To look at positives going into year 4, obviously in the win-loss column you don't see that, but where are you seeing it heading into year 4 that's tangible for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing is just teaching the guys the process, how we do things, how we go about our preparation, how we go about our work. The biggest thing is the benefits of leadership in the program is staying true to the process and improving the process, even though results don't show on the field. And the commitment from the leadership of our program and the coaches to continue to find ways to improve every single day has been the whole focus. And obviously going to continue to do that this last 2 weeks of some workouts, a really good preseason plan, and just continue to build and grow and develop relationships as we ready for really good football. We get shaking in the stadium and week in and week out throughout the season.
Jeff Collins, somebody that I've definitely appreciated and definitely, and that's the thing about this. I know that every team wants to win, right? And somebody has to lose when, you're going up against someone every single week. Somebody's got to win, somebody got to lose. That's how it is in the record column. But Jeff Collins has always been tremendous, has always been great to speak with, and I'm really hoping he has a great season this season. Georgia Tech continuing on here with Dylan Leonard, tight end from Milton, Georgia. I asked him about if he has a chip on his shoulder. It's a thankless job to be a tight end.
You have a chip on your shoulder when you go out there every single Saturday.
Yeah, I don't need all the spots that come back to it. I enjoy getting with that team, come up with guys, not my block guy, not there, maybe big plays the past 3 years. Honestly, I haven't been involved as much as I'd like to be a tight end on the team like you, but I think Coach Lamar's going to change that a lot.
That coming once again from Dylan Leonard, the tight end for Georgia Tech football here, giving his take on what's coming forward this season and the opportunity to hopefully have some more involvement in this. As we didn't know Georgia Tech as a passing team in years past, a triple option team, and now we can see more of that. So we'll see how things shake out this season for this football team. And obviously taking a look at the coaches and and what we have going on here, as he mentioned his coach, and definitely appreciate him saying that and coming out here and talking about who's going to be helping him out here. So, we got to see how work shakes out on the field, but ultimately, right now, as we look at it, Chip Long being the offensive coordinator and tight ends coach. Good thing when your tight ends coach is also your OC, so planning out the entire offense and looking at your specific position. Hopefully that means that Dylan Leonard will get some more opportunities out there as we look at Dylan Leonard and his statistics thus far inside of his time at Georgia Tech. And Dylan Leonard at this moment at the tight end position has played 3 seasons in Georgia Tech and only had 2 receptions his first season, then 3. Last year he had 11 for 112 yards and has yet to score a collegiate touchdown. So hopefully we'll see him in the end zone this season. Next up here, his teammate Dante Smith on the offensive side of the ball, running back from Spring Hill, Tennessee. Spoke with Dante Smith about being in a backfield with Hassan Hall. Hassan Hall was recruited by Syracuse, went to Louisville, did some good things in Louisville, special teams, had some fun last year. Go back, watch it. Well, now Hassan Hall has transferred into Georgia Tech, staying in the ACC and getting an opportunity to share some time with him back there. This is what Dante had to say about Hassan Hall.
Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. Dante, bringing in a guy like Hassan Hall from Louisville, just what that does to make this a dynamic backfield and what you're excited about to get to work with him this season.
Hassan, he's a really great player. Having him, it just adds more to our group. We had 3 running backs here, so obviously we have to find some guys that are able to come in and play and be really good players. And Hassan Hall is one of those good players. He's another fast player, so a lot of times when we're conditioning, we're racing, and that's how you get better. You compete with the people next to you. So bringing in people like Hassan Hall and Dylan McDuffie, it only rises brings up the competition and essentially it makes nothing better, it makes the team better.
Again, finding it positive. Dante not saying, hey, this guy's trying to take my job. He said, hey, bringing in a guy like Hassan Hall, it brings up the competition and makes the team better. I love that. Speaking of getting better, Zamari Walton, DB, Melbourne, Florida. He has one simple message on his Twitter account, and that's pursuing God at all costs. I asked him about why he chose to write that. This is what he said.
Zamari, Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. On your social media Twitter page, it's very simple, and you have one line that says, pursuing the Lord at all costs. Just what you can say about living faith forward and not being afraid to put that out there.
Yeah, I keep God first. Without God, I wouldn't be anything. So I make sure, before games, before practices, I'm always trying to praise the Lord. I feel like that keeps me going. So I just want to make sure I give him the glory and stuff like that. With football.
Somebody who is not afraid to talk about God, Dabo Swinney, also in the same world, also stood on that stage when I got to ask him about his faith. So thank you to Zamari Walton for being open about your faith, unapologetic about it, and happy to share it, pursuing the Lord at all costs, which is what I strive to do and what we all should. With that being said, big thanks and a big ups to Georgia Tech for joining us here in ACC Preview Week, where every single team has a platform and a place on Wake Up Call inside of the Cafe Kubal studio. So just hearing from Georgia Tech, now it's time to jump to Wake Forest. Head coach Dave Clawson and the crew are now here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we take a look at the Demon Deacons. We'll start things off in my conversation with Dave Clawson about the 3-5-5 rule. He had a lot to say about it, and I love his response, which is right now.
Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, too. Looking at the fact that divisions are going to exist one more time this season in the ACC, and then we're going to the 3-5-5 model, we'd love to get your thoughts on the future and just what that means for this conference. Like you said, postseason and bowls matter, so just what you say about that.
I think like with every decision, there's positives and there's things you gain, and then there's also things that you lose. I think if you take the division votes every year, the Atlantic was for eliminating it, the Coastal was for keeping it. And I think the scheduling model, there's positives. One of the positives for us is we get to play North Carolina more often. That's a game that's part of our history and part of Big Four in North Carolina football. And the fact that we were only playing them once every 6 years got us to schedule them non-conference. So the fact that we get to play a team like Carolina more often is definitely a positive. But you gain something and you lose something. And what we lose is we've played North Carolina State for 110 straight years. And to see a game like that end is a negative. And so again, you got to do what's best for the conference. I think for our players, for them to know that in their 4 years at Wake Forest, they'll get to play against every ACC team, home and away, is clearly a positive. I think the overall is good. But like with any decision or changes, there are some things that you hate to see disappear.
And that coming from Dave Clawson, and he's on the Atlantic side, right? And he's done really well. And it arguably, him and Clemson, Wake Forest and Clemson could be playing for the ACC championship game. So, you look at this and you hear that, right? Because the way that they're playing right now, they've done some great things. At the same time, we're going to lose some rivalry here. And that is sad. It's definitely sad that we're gonna lose some of this and a tough break. So that's something that you don't want to see happen, but it's something that has obviously gone on here, and that's a thing that's hard to say goodbye to. So tough to see that, and tough to have something like that happen, and it calls that a negative. Playing NC State for 110 straight years, and now their permanent opponents are Duke, Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech. All at this point in time, great teams to play, right? Because nobody's up right now. I think Virginia Tech has the best chance of getting up quicker at this point. I think they're the one that I'd pick to be better here. But Wake Forest, those three are good when you look at the opportunity to win. But at the same time, 110 straight years playing NC State. And that's not going to happen anymore. Sad. Definitely sad. Continue with Wake Forest in my conversation with their student athletes, Rondell Bothroyd, the defensive lineman from Manchester, Connecticut. I had the opportunity to speak with Rondell. They had 29 turnovers as a team that they forced last year. I said, how do you get better? What do you do from here? That's what he has to say.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Rondell, just what you can say about 29 turnovers last season, where do you feel this defense has improved, though, as you step through the spring and going into 2022, coming off of those successes and now having a new defensive coordinator, where are you seeing those improvements?
As Coach said, I think we're going to be really aggressive this year, so hopefully we can have more turnovers than that, which is 29 is a lot, but just being more aggressive, I think we'll have teams more on the edge of not wanting to turn it over, so which helps a lot. And yeah, I mean, more turnovers would be great, because that's a point of emphasis that points allowed in third down has been a big point of emphasis this spring.
So taking a look at this team going forward, and Rondell, I definitely appreciate his time, appreciate the time of all the student athletes and everybody that we had the opportunity to speak with, that I had the opportunity to speak with at ACC Kickoff as we bring you ACC Preview Week here, and always appreciate all the work that they have put forward, every single one of these teams. I think, fans get frustrated, and understand the fact everybody's trying to win, right? So, yeah, everybody's trying to win. Somebody's going to take an L. And a lot of these, teams that have been working forward here, like a Wake Forest, you look at what Dave Clawson has done. Again, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. 3-9 and 3-9 his first two seasons, then 7-6 won a bowl game, 8-5 won a bowl game, 7-6 won a bowl game, 8-5 lost in the Pinstripe Bowl, 4-5 played in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, lost that in the abbreviated year of COVID, and then went 11-3 last year and won the Gator Bowl, despite the fact that their opponent changed last minute. So shout out to them for that and the work that they've done. Dave Clawson, definitely, I'm happy. And I said, I was like, he got something that Syracuse never gave to Scott Schaefer, which was time. And that's not anything against Dino, because Dino's had time. Dino's going into year number 7, but never had that time. And I felt like, you know, he would have been able to do good things with that time, like Dave Clawson, like Dave Doran at NC State. So, Rondell, I want to go back to what he said. I think we're going to be really aggressive this year, so hopefully we can have more turnovers than that, which 29 is a lot, but just keep being more aggressive. I think we have more teams on the edge of not wanting to turn it over, which helps a lot. He said, yeah, I mean, more turnovers would be great because that's a point of emphasis. That's points allowed in third down has been a big point of emphasis this spring. So points allowed on third down, another thing they're looking at. 29 turnovers is great. We want more. Plus, we're looking to expand and get better. We're not just resting on one positive. We want to add another positive, which are points scored, points allowed against Wake Forest on third down. So definitely appreciate Rondell for that, and appreciate Coach for saying, hey, we're doing good stuff. Let's continue to get better, right? You can't just rest on one thing. Got to continue to improve. So I definitely appreciate that, as well as many things about Coach Dave Clawson. Next up here on the docket, I had the opportunity to speak with and share with you Michael Juergens, offensive lineman out of Damascus, Maryland, and his thoughts on something they did. Speaking of third down, well, let's flip it to the offensive side. Last season, Wake Forest was 53.3% effective for the season on third down. More than half the time that they were on third down, they converted it to a first down. We talk about that.
Michael, as it seemed, you were better than 50% on third down conversion. I think it was 53.3. Just what you could say about that and the work in the trenches and those little pieces that you guys know that not everybody obviously is going to see.
Yeah, thanks. Third down comes down to a lot of detail on execution, and we've got a great staff on offense, a lot of accountability there, and they're in the office all summer working on walkthroughs to script us so that we see every possible look. Really, at the end of the day, we say here that third down is players down. You're going to get one-on-one matchups, you're going to get one-on-one pass rushes, and the players are going to make plays. And one thing we've proven here at Wake is that you're going to make players. So look, that's continued, but those details really make a difference.
You know, looking at the detail, right, and the importance of that, the fact that you really have to break things down and see, why are we so effective? What are we doing that's working out in our favor? So looking at that, once again, he said third down comes to a lot of detail, a lot of execution. Got a great staff on offense and a lot of continuity there. They're in the office all summer working on walkthroughs to script us that we see every possible look. Really, at the end of the day, we say here that third down's a player's down. You're going to get one-on-one matchups, one-on-one pass rushes, and players are going to make plays. One thing we've proven here at Wake is we have good players. Look for that to continue. Those details really make a difference. So, given respect to the coaches and the continuity of coaches and the fact that he believes in his teammates and saying third down's a player down. We're going to have one-on-one matchups. You got to beat me. I got to beat you. Wake Forest beat their opponents more than half the time last season. We'll see if they can continue to do that and potentially improve on it as well. With that being said, we move on to our next team here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. And before we jump into that next team, we are going to take a step aside for a fast break. Next team up in ACC Preview Week is going to be your Clemson Tigers. They are coming up here after an off year. Sarcasm from me, not from other people apparently. A down year is 10-3 and a bowl win. Yeah, I think a lot of people, as I echoed before, would take that down year any day of the week. So, I don't think they had a down year, and I could appreciate the fact that the student athletes joked about that. They're like, oh yeah, we were getting ready to pack Dabo's office because everybody said he was getting fired. So, pretty ridiculous. We'll talk with Clemson after this fast break. Still the darling of the ACC. Here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cubal needs. Cafe Cubal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942. And tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsa Q's, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cubal studios where sports meets that thing called life. We are fully inside of ACC Preview Week with all 14 member institutions of the Atlantic Coast Conference here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and my one-on-one Q&As with every single head coach and every single team student-athlete representation. So we have student-athlete reps from every school, the head coach of every single school. I am very honored, very thankful to the ACC for the ACC kickoff, for all that they do to give me the opportunity to ask these interviews. I'm thankful, or ask these questions, I should say. I'm thankful to God more than anything else, and just happy to be here. So with that being said, let's jump into my conversations with Clemson, starting off with Dabo Swinney. He promoted from within. Offensive and defensive coordinator came from within. He didn't go outside to bring anybody in. He brought in people that he thought, well, I shouldn't say he brought in, he brought up people that he thought would be a good fit. And so I definitely appreciate that, you know, and it's something that's really, really incredible, right? And it shows the work ethic and what they've done, because Brent Venables is off at Oklahoma and Tony Elliott is off at Virginia, and you heard from him earlier this week. And so with that being said, he decided to promote from within. Offensive coordinator goes to Brandon Streeter as he gets the opportunity to go there. And so seeing that Brandon Streeter get that opportunity, very happy for him to have him go, you know, and have this, right? And then to see on the defensive side of the ball, Wes Goodwin getting promoted from within as well. So I asked Dabo about that and his thoughts on it as we continue ACC Preview Week. And this is what Dabo Swinney, the head coach of the Clemson Tigers, had to say to me when it came down to why he decided to promote from within. And we bring you that from within ACC Preview Week. Here's Dabo Swinney.
Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com, Coach. Just what you can say about going into this season and hiring from within, an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, your thoughts on Braden Streeter as well as Wes Goodwin and why they were the right fit to lead the offensive and defensive sides of the ball.
Yeah, first of all, it's not always feasible to promote from within. You know, that's sometimes, I've had to go outside multiple times over my career, but I think it's best when you can. But it's got to be the right time, the right fit, and all those boxes checked. And this was an easy decision for me. Wes Goodwin has been with me since December of 2008, and I've never been with a guy more prepared. And I'm well aware of what the headlines would be when I named Wes Goodwin to be the D coordinator at Clemson. Everybody's hitting Google like, who the heck is that? But he is so deserving, and has already done an amazing job. I'm glad that we had an opportunity to go through a bowl season and game winner belt and all that, and watching him, just be himself. And probably the best part for me was, letting the defensive guys know, like, hey, here's what we're going to do, and their enthusiasm and their excitement, because they know this, they know who he is, they know what he brings to the table, and now be able to have the hands-on experience going through a bowl, going through the spring and summer, and we're ready to roll. And he's going to be awesome. I mean, he's just got to be himself. That's all I need to do. Easy decision, you deserve it, you earned it. I think when you don't promote people that deserve it and earn it, and have earned it, there's a breakdown in culture. And same thing offensively. Brandon Streeter's been with me since December of 14. We played the whole game with Oklahoma there in Orlando, and coached Deshaun for 2 years. He recruited Trevor, coached him all 3 years. He recruited DJ, recruited Klubnik, and he deserves it. He's turned down multiple coordinator jobs in and out of our league, the SEC, NFL. He's had multiple opportunities, but he's been our passing game coordinator for a few years now. And Tony getting the job in Virginia, again, he deserved it, and he's earned it. And but also being able to create new opportunity for some other support staff and some new people like Nick Gleason, Kyle Richardson, doing it in different roles as well. So it's a lot of fun. Being kind, moving into a different role.
Dabo Swinney, speaking about that, promoting from within, I love what he said when he said, when you don't give promotions to people that have earned them and deserve them, that you can see like a deterioration of culture, right? When somebody has worked for it and they've earned it and they deserve that promotion and you don't give it to them, you can dismantle your culture. Remember, allegedly they laughed at Dabo Swinney when this wide receiver coach was hired as the head coach of Clemson. Now he's been to multiple college football playoff national championship games, won 2 in 3 years, in 2016 and 2018. I think he knows what he's doing. There might have been a time where people said Brent Venables who? Tony Elliott who? Jeff Scott who? So let's remember that people are quick to judge and then quick to delete the tweet after they didn't know what they were talking about. So I think I would trust Dabo Swinney. And a man who puts God first says a lot about the man or the woman. Defensive end KJ Henry's up next from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He told me his thoughts on Coach Swinney. This is what he had to say.
Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. You mentioned Coach Swinney. What is it about his leadership that you take with you going into this season? Maybe those biggest learning lessons from the coaching staff and coach, as well as maybe some other people that have left something with you in a special way that you can take into a game when you need to.
Yeah, I think the biggest lessons I've learned from Coach really throughout my entire career is how he treats all of us. He tells us all the time he's not going to treat us equally, but he's going to treat us fairly. And, that's really just a testament of learning and getting to know each player, each member he has, and doing the best he can to bring out the best in them. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned in trying to lead, help lead the team in this defense is you can't really attack everybody the exact same way. People learn differently. People, understand things differently. And I have to get to know my teammates and my coaches in order to get the best out of everybody. And that's probably the best thing I've learned from Coach Lee over time.
Love that. Get to know people, build those relationships, build those bonds. Again, coming back to culture, keeping the conversation going with Clemson in our ACC Preview Week from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Offensive tackle Jordan McFadden and I spoke about the culture of Clemson, going off of what I just said. This is what he had to say.
Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. Jordan, just what you can say about the culture of Clemson, and what is your favorite part of being a part of this program? Because it just seems like the air is different, handle yourselves differently, and you also seem to have fun at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. That's a huge reason why I came back to Clemson. And I would say that the same as my teammates, the love I have for them. They're awesome. They work extremely hard. They push themselves. They push me to make me better. It's just always fun. Competing with a bunch of guys who love to play the game. We love each other. So I would say my teammates are just a great example of our culture here and how they carry themselves off the field, on the field. Just being in the locker room with guys like that, makes you want to continue to be a Clemson.
No surprise, nothing strange about the fact that one of the most successful teams in America, in the world, in their sport, and in sports in general, has a culture of people that care about each other. Quarterback from Inland Empire, California, DJ Uiagalelei, joins me next with his thoughts on Kyle Richardson, who Dabo Swinney mentioned in my question to him, the quarterback's coach that's now taken over there. This is what he had to say about Kyle.
DJ, just what you can say about how Kyle Richardson has improved your game and what you've taken from him and that leadership going into this season with him being your passing game coordinator.
Coach Rich, shout out to Coach Rich. He's done a great job being a passing coordinator. Him and Coach Streeter working together. I think the biggest thing for me, with Coach Rich is that comfortability level with him. I have a very, very good relationship with him and Coach Streeter. Just have a little full conversations with him and be able to speak my mind and speak his mind to me. Just be able to have those little conversations to where we have that comfortability level with each other.
Speaking their mind back and forth, being able to connect with one another. DJ, speaking about people who, want to speak their mind about somebody and have a lot of thoughts about them. DJ Uiagalelei, people say things about Trevor Lawrence, and Dabo Swinney reminded of that, right? People say things about Deshaun Watson, say things about Trevor Lawrence, and now are saying things about DJ, right? He's not good enough to play. He shouldn't be out there, yada, 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 yada. And, listen, 2020, he didn't play a ton. He had to go out there for a little bit while Trevor was injured. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 66.7% completion percentage, 914 yards. Last season as the starter, 374 attempts, 55.6% completion percentage. Obviously, that's got to get higher. 2,246 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And both seasons, he had 4 rushing touchdowns in each of those seasons, averaging under 3 yards a carry. So does he need to improve? Yeah. But he's a 1-year starter. So why don't you give the guy a little bit of a break? Here's the thing. It's funny how people had no expectation of Clemson a few years ago, and now all of a sudden, it's like, if you don't do well your first day, your first down, your first moment on the field, you suck. It's ridiculous, but it's where we are. I mean, you could take it as a positive, right? Saying, well, that's the bar we've set. But then you also take it as why don't you temper your expectations and realize, like with everything else, nothing great happens overnight. As quick as people want it, it doesn't happen immediately. Nothing in life worth having and keeping comes to you easily, because if it comes easily, it goes just as easily. Things that just happen and they're totally fine and it takes no work. You know what I mean? Everything good in life takes work. Everything does. And it's about finding the right people to work with. And Clemson seems to have a pretty nice culture, starting with Dabo Swinney. With that being said, we go to our last team here, We started in Syracuse with the Syracuse Orange. We'll end with Syracuse native Servassier Dennis of Pittsburgh as we jump into my coverage of the Pitt Panthers, starting things off in ACC Preview Week with Pat Narduzzi. Pat Narduzzi and I have spoken since the moment he came into Pittsburgh, and always appreciate his time. The last time the team won a national championship was with Tony Dorsett, Al Romano, and company. I asked him about that because he spoke on winning a championship and what this team needs to do next. They had a nice bowl game that they didn't get on the better side of against Michigan State. Before that happened in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, they won their first ever ACC championship. So big ups to Pitt for all the work that they've done. So from the championship that they had last nationally to the team they have now, this is what he had to say.
Coach Dan Tortora, WayToCallDT.com. You speak on wanting to win a national championship, and Tony Dorsett, Al Romano, and the gang did that at Pitt years ago. When you look at recruiting and everything you kind of just mentioned, just what you can say about Pitt's history and what you build upon back then and have that bridge to the NFL, to the gentlemen that are sitting here with you right now that just came off of winning an ACC championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think history is a great predictor. We've won 9 national championships in Pittsburgh, and we talk about Tony Dorsett, and, 1976 with the national championship. That's the last one. That's something that we're striving for. I think things go in circles, and you look back years and years ago, how bad it was very good. And look where they are today. That's something that they get Pittsburgh is to say, we're going to finish the circle there and get around that. So we'll just continue to build and work on that championship season.
Pat Narduzzi and the team working toward more success here in 2022. And I speak with Deslin Alexander about that on building on that. They had so much success last season. So what are they taking from how do they take last year into this year and build in 2022? Deslin Alexander rejoining Wake Up Call, defensive lineman from Pompano Beach, Florida, playing for the Pitt Panthers.
Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. Deslin, coming off of that ACC championship and making it to a big-time bowl game, just what you can say about building off the success of last season and what this Pitt team, in your opinion, looks like in 2022.
Yeah, last was a great year. We're really happy with what we did last week, but we're focused on this year now. Focused on doing everything, all the little things right to make sure we can replicate and have a better year than we did last year. So our teams are working really hard, not really focused on what we did last year, because last year. I'm trying to do what we do this year.
Deslin saying, you know what, last year's last year, got to focus on this year. Some people call that, quote-unquote coach speak, or what you should say. Listen, it's the truth, right? They had a lot of success, and now they got to move forward. Carter Warren next up here talking about the first game of the season against West Virginia, who I think should be in the ACC, but that's my opinion. I think they should be in the same conference, and I think West Virginia should be there. So, with that being said, Carter Warren, offensive tackle out of New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey, on his thoughts and how much he knows about the West Virginia rivalry as they have the opportunity to play each other this season. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios.
Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. First game on the schedule, West Virginia. Have you looked into that history and the rivalry that used to be there throughout time, and does that mean anything to you at Pitt as you carry that forward?
Oh, definitely. Backyard ball dates back years ago, before my time. There's huge history behind it. I'm excited. All the trash talking in here, I had beer model at the bus coming in. So I'm curious to see. I'm very excited when the game comes.
Excited about it. I love the fact that Carter did his history, like you said, started before his time, yet he knows all about it. So cool stuff here coming from Carter Warren in that backyard brawl that we get to see to start off the season. I'm very excited to watch Pitt against West Virginia. Next up here, Syracuse native, went to the same high school as me, Christian Brothers Academy. Servassier Dennis, repping Central and Upstate New York and proving that there are student athletes here that deserve your attention. This is what he had to say about Pat Narduzzi, and if there's anything about Pat we don't know that he could share.
Servassier, you're smiling up there. You have a positive attitude. You always bring a lot of positive energy. What does Pat Narduzzi do for this team to bring the positivity? And is there something about him you can share with us that maybe we don't know?
No, he brings it just every day. You know, sometimes guys don't want to be there for the actual football. Sometimes it's rough days, sometimes it's, you know, hard days. And the energy starts with him. It starts with him, the juice starts with him, and then, you know, we take that from him and disperse it to the team. So, Pressure Grizzly, he's a player's coach. Everyone loves him, everyone, you know, we're behind him. The city's behind him, and, you know, he's there for us. So, anytime you have a coach like that, anytime you have a coach that loves you, a coach for you, is there for you in the city, it's the best in the world.
Awesome community, awesome relationship. Love my time when I was out in Pittsburgh when I went there for the Jaguars-Steelers game to cover that game where my Jags got the victory. Don't be mad at me, Pittsburgh. So let me have what I can have. It was like 10 years since the last time they've been to the playoffs. But, yeah, the community and hearing all those kind words about Pat Narduzzi, really awesome to see that connection with his players and the community. Servassier continues here with his journey, speaking with me about everything on the road to where he is right now.
Dan Tortora to going prep school in New Jersey.
It was a wild journey, I would say. Receiver, running back, anything. So just being on that journey and, you know, the recruiting in that area is the best. So, you know, just being on that journey and being an ACC champion, it means a lot, not just to me, but definitely that area, sir.
You know, saying that, again, Central and Upstate New York doesn't get that love. So coming from Central and Upstate New York, getting an opportunity from Pat Narduzzi and the staff pays off. Syracuse native, Central Upstate New York, CBA Syracuse graduate and my alma mater. So big shout out to Servassier. Big fan, as always, and appreciate him very, very much so. So big shout out to Central and Upstate New York. Much love. And with that being said, we have given you all 14 schools, every head coach, and student-athlete representation from every single member institution inside of the ACC for football, ending here with the Pitt Panthers. So a big thanks to every single team for their time and for the ACC in general for making it possible. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, thank you for being with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, here where sports meets life on mixlr.com, facebook.com, and youtube.com, all /wakeupcalldt, facebook.com /live-now-dt, and on wakeupcalldt.com. Once the shows go live, they jump into the archive on Wake Up Call on Amazon Music, Audible, as well as iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. So, it's how I feel after it. All good, though. A big breath in a good way. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or Wake Up Call DT on any one of these channels and hang out with me there for free. Thanks to Central and Upstate New York partners and beyond, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Witty Wicks, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Mother's Cupboard, and Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the proud multimedia marketing partner exclusively of your Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Big time shout out to the Dolphins. Every single Wednesday is Dolphin time at 9 a.m. Eastern time. First and third Wednesday of each month, AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT, speaking on the pertinent topics of the day at Lemoyne and beyond. And, of course, every second and fourth Wednesday, Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student-athletes, coaches, as well as administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You can check out all of our content Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time live here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel to get all of our archive, and you can get the archive of all of our past connections with Lemoyne in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, telling the stories of so many people that are connected with Lemoyne in just year one as we head into year two of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. Go to Lemoyne's tab on wakeupcalldt.com, bookmark it, save it, keep it, and love it. and go to LeMoyneDolphins.com for more information. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the proud exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood University Pacers. Pacer Pride comes to you weekly on Wake Up Call to round out the week on Fridays around 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll have an awesome conversation about Marywood baseball and Major League Baseball in general with Vinny Dioria. Very excited to speak with him going into the world of marketing and sports marketing. Excited to speak with Vinny once again in Pacer Pride coming up tomorrow in our video special. You can check all of our Pacer Pride content Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time live on youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com, all /wakeupcalldt. You can also find the Pacers on the Marywood tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to get the archive and always stay up to date. And, of course, for more information on Marywood, go to marywoodpacers.com. The Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse Bobcats are proud, exclusive multimedia marketing partners of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You won't find it anywhere else. And we have the opportunity to sit down with student athletes, administration, as well as coaches of Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse with their very unique approach to the athletic world. We've spoken with national champions, new programs, new coaches, and so much more. Always excited to make history with Bryan and Stratton, and we've done that numerous times in less than a year. So very, very much looking forward to everything that is coming up with the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. Bobcat Buzz coming to you monthly. Check out when it's going to happen on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Big thanks to the Bobcats. Check them out on the BSC SYR tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for their content as well, and you can find them on syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With all that being said, I hope you have a fantastic day. I wanted to thank Papa Joe for joining me, as always, in his Thursday post from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. God bless to Papa Joe, Mary T., as well as Joey, Kayla, Lily, and the whole family, Boom Boom, and Marissa. So much love to everybody out there in the Wisconsin family. God bless you all, and sending you my love as always. So please be well, please stay safe. And I thank God every day for my wonderful, wonderful family. So God bless for that. And thanks to the ACC for all of my guests that came here today from North Carolina, Louisville, Georgia Tech, as well as Wake Forest, Clemson, and Pittsburgh. Big shout out to the ACC and ACC Preview Week. Thanks to the ACC for all you do to help me cover you. And I look forward to talking with you all soon. On Friday, TGIF, plenty coming up, a lot of great stuff, always exclusive things happening on Wake Up Call. Go to wakeupcalldt.com, bookmark it, save it, love it, like it, and connect with it. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. From the Cafe Kubal Studios, go out there today, fill your cup up right. 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, as well as inside of their double-decker cafe on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners for their drive-through location. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We ran the gamut today, and we love that you were here to do it with us. Tell your friends, family, coworkers, and colleagues Wake Up Call is the place to come for positivity, faith, comedy, love, connection,